Who are the Illuminati? I think this is a very good question. For a part of my life, I did a lot of running away. I carried a lot of fear towards the Illuminati. I had some interactions with Illuminati-based energies and just hightailed it. Didn't want anything to do with it. Blocked it out from me because I didn't want anything to do with it. I was contemplating the Illuminati-based energies a little while ago while I was on a walk. So I was thinking about them, and I was just kind of wandering around, and it suddenly dawned on me that the Illuminati, they're not some organization of human or reptilian thing. Like, they aren't created by humans or reptilians. I realized that the Illuminati was created because the Illuminati is the representation of the shadow part of the collective unconscious. It is literally the collective unconscious shadow side that we see enacting itself out through conduits. Those conduits could be alien-based energies, or they could be human-based energies. They could be a mix of energies. And I won't deny that it's a strong force. However, if you think about it, if you have a person and that person denies their shadow self, then what starts to happen is the shadow self starts to rebel, and the shadow self starts to be like, you must do what I say, and you have whatever the shadow self comes out as, whether it's like pure rage, or sadness, despair, and grief, or whatever. You start to have this uncontrollable part of yourself come out and act very sporadically and very like, poof, right? It's the same thing with the collective unconscious. And so what happens is it is so powerful because it is so many people who have a huge shadow that has not been dealt with. What happens is it gains its own energy and it gains its own power, and it has to play through people. So those people are not necessarily bad people. They are playing out consciousness to the exact degree that it needs to be played out to bring balance into the positive consciousness. And the positive consciousness is all this light and love and all this greatness and joy and blah, blah, blah. And both sides are perfect because we live in a space and we live in a time where we are, as a mass, working through these different layers of consciousness in order to bring us to a settling point, in order to bring us into the perfect harmony of what Earth and nature is, of what God energy is. So it's still God, but it is the collective unconsciousness of the shadow work that is causing they need, that energy needs to have an expression on the planet in some way, shape, or form. And that's how it comes out in our expression on the planet at this time, is through these individual beings and these organizations that seem to have all the power. They really don't have any power, though, because it's a fear-based collection. It's a fear-based thing. So another really interesting thing that happens with the Illuminati or the dark energy or whatever is that because it's all fear-based, when love comes into the equation, it changes the fear-based. It shows up differently. It can't exist in the same way. When you bring light into a dark room, darkness does not exist in the same way. It transforms itself or it moves. That's what it does. That's what happens. So there's something else that is really interesting to me and what I've witnessed in the past few years is that when there are a lot of people that aren't working on their shadow consciousness, whatever that is for them, that fear-based stuff, which there is a lot of people who just aren't aware of it and they have no idea, and that's fine, that's their thing. But when it becomes too big and too massive, what happens is other people have to pick up the slack. And so people like myself and a few other major spiritual leaders that I do know, and people that I know who have no public limelight at all, what we end up doing is work on behalf of the collective unconscious. And so we take shadow energies and we transform them and we move them and we shift them in order for somebody else to not have to do that. And so they have their burden lifted. And you might think that that's unfair. And in some ways it is. It's unfair from the human mind, but it's not unfair from the soul level. From the soul level, we are all one being, and so the work that I do for somebody else is the work that I do for myself. And I can only do the work for them if I can do the work for myself.